Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our top story, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman made history by becoming the first Saudi leader to affirm Israel's right to exist in peace on its own land. During his 3-week charm offensive in the United States, the 32-year-old monarch told The Atlantic magazine there would be a lot of interest between Gulf states and Israel if there is peace. The Saudi royal denied the existence of anti-Semitism in his kingdom and added that Riyadh shares many concerns with Jerusalem. One of those issues is Tehran's expanding influence in the region. The prince called Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, worse than Hitler. He then slammed the Obama administration's 2015 nuclear deal with the rogue Islamic Republic and said it created a 50-50 risk of war, which is unacceptable.
The United States blocked a cynical draft submitted by Kuwait to the United Nations Security Council after tens of thousands of Gazans stormed the Israeli border. The resolution proposed an investigation into the deaths of some of the rioters and inconceivably affirmed the right of so-called peaceful Palestinian protest against Israel. This despite the firing of weapons by confirmed Hamas terrorists who were also armed with firebombs, grenades, and axes. 5 camps have been set up on the Gaza side of the 40-mile frontier as part of a slated 6-week demonstration timed to violate the sanctity of the Jewish and Christian holidays. Children were deliberately used as human shields during the riot, which included the incineration of posters of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. President Donald Trump. Israeli Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman commended the Israeli army for having minimized casualties while preventing the infiltration of armed Arab terrorists intent on murdering Israelis.
Several thousand people took to the streets of Paris to protest the murder of an 85-year-old Holocaust survivor. 2 suspects have been arrested on charges of having killed Mireille Canol because of her Jewish faith. The elderly woman was attacked March 23rd and died after being stabbed at least 11 times. The assailants then set her apartment on fire. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu telephoned the victim's family and expressed his personal condolences and those of the entire Jewish nation. He said Canol's shocking murder is a reminder that the struggle of our people is still ahead.
British Prime Minister Theresa May attacked the surge of anti-Semitism in her nation with a video addressed to the Jewish community. She vowed to continue her fight against persecution, hatred, discrimination, and violence that she said she was sad to say is still evident in Britain. The Premier's marks come amid record levels of anti-Semitic hate incidents in the country. Official efforts to battle the scourge include the funding of Jewish institutions and events, Holocaust education at national schools, and the building of a Holocaust memorial next to the Parliament in London set for completion by the year 2022. Allegations of anti-Semitism also continue to plague the country's Labour Party. Faction leader Jeremy Corbyn deleted his own personal Facebook account after it was revealed that he belonged to at least 5 different online groups that were rife with Holocaust denial and anti-Jewish content.
A project has just begun to clear landmines near the spot where some Christians believe Jesus was baptized on the western bank of the Jordan River. A team of experts from Israel, the Palestinian Authority, and the former Soviet Republic of Georgia are using handheld mine detectors and armored mechanical diggers to locate an estimated 2,600 anti-tank mines and an unknown amount of other unexploded ordnance. The work got underway shortly before the Christian Holy Week preceding Easter, and it's hoped to be concluded by the end of the year. The removal of the explosives will enable the reopening of a compound containing 8 churches that has been abandoned since the 1967 Six-Day War. The endeavor is operating under the sponsorship of the Halo Trust charity, which the late British Princess Diana was once associated.
Over 100,000 Jews gathered at the Western Wall in Jerusalem this past week to attend a special priestly blessing prayer. The gathering takes place twice a year during the Jewish holidays of Passover and Sukkot. Kohanim, or Hebrew priests, chant 3 consecutive verses of the Torah, one word at a time, in a special recitation of Jewish scripture dating back to the First Temple period. The Western Wall is a remnant of the compound of the Second Jewish Temple that was built by King Herod the Great and destroyed by the Romans in the year 70.
Only about 2% of Israel's population is made up of Druze citizens, who number approximately 140,000. Israeli Druze proudly serve in the IDF, unlike other minorities, including the Arab Muslim population. This past week, community member Camille Abu Rokon was promoted to the rank of Major General and appointed as the coordinator of government activities in the territories. This unit is part of the Defense Ministry, responsible for coordinating civilian matters between the Israeli government, Army, Diplomatic Corps, the international community, and the Palestinian Authority. Abu Rokon will take up his new post in May when Major General Yoav Mordechai steps down after a 4-year stint. Other prominent Druze include Israel's current Minister of Communications, Ayub Kara, and former Lieutenant Colonel Majali Wahabi, who temporarily served as the first non-Jewish acting head of state in 2007.
Israeli physicians just carried out a special week-long mission of miracles in Ethiopia. 8 doctors, 2 nurses, and 1 physical therapist performed operations to correct severe spinal deformities at a hospital in the northern part of the African country, which offers care to 8 million residents but lacks its own spinal surgeon. Some of the major surgeries that the Israelis conducted were so complex that they lasted for 8 hours. All of the patients were children, many of whom faced such lethal complications that it's estimated they would not have lived more than another year without the Israeli humanitarian intervention. The team donated their medical equipment to the facility, and even more supplies will be forthcoming as part of a program that also brings Ethiopian doctors to the Jewish state, where they are trained to perform these life-saving surgeries on their own.
A virtual flood created by lights and video was projected onto the United Nations Plaza during commemoration of International Water Day. Israel's UN mission hosted a special exhibition featuring the latest and best water technology the Jewish state has to offer. The display included cutting-edge solutions now being used in over 100 countries, such as innovative Israeli techniques to produce water from air or contaminated sources. The annual event is intended to raise awareness of the water insecurity faced by nearly 40% of the global population, including more than 2 billion people who lack access to safe water.
The latest Central Bureau of Statistics report card on Israel's quality of life is in, with a stunning improvement since 2015 in 29 out of the 61 indicators. Israel's life expectancy is now the 8th highest out of the 183 countries. On average, Israelis of both genders can expect to live to the ripe old age of 82 and a half. The U.S., by comparison, ranks 31st in the world, with the average American living to 79 and a quarter. Infant mortality per 1,000 live births in Israel dropped to 3.1%. It's nearly double that in the States, and closer to home, it's about 6 times higher in Jordan and 7 times higher in the Palestinian Authority. And when it comes to civics, more than 72% of Israelis vote in national elections. In environmental affairs, Israel's reputation as a world leader in water recycling was confirmed at a rate of 80%. It's just 5% in America. Overall, a whopping 88.3% of Israelis say that they are very satisfied with their lives, qualifying them as the 11th happiest people on earth.
A new edition of the Bible is being published just in time for the 70th celebration of Israel's rebirth as a nation. This one-of-a-kind 929-chapter holy book concentrates on the eternal ties between the Jewish people and their ancient homeland. It's called the Israel Bible, and it features original Hebrew text alongside translations. It also highlights verses specifically related to God's relationship with the land and includes special commentary, illustrations, charts, and maps. The Israel Bible will be inaugurated later this month at the second joint Christian-Jewish session of the Knesset Caucus for the Encouragement of Bible Study. Member of Knesset Yehuda Glick said the edition helps readers understand that the entire Bible is about the land of Israel and is a message for all humanity.
Various plants have been cited as the source of the crown of thorns the New Testament says was placed on Jesus' head prior to the crucifixion. While no one knows for certain, the consensus among Christian scholars tends toward the Ziziphus spina Christi, And now Israeli scientists believe that this pioneer species may hold the key to helping combat climate change. Studies show that the evergreen is resistant to desertification because of its hardiness that makes it resilient to rising temperatures and aridity. It can even draw water from deep underground and retain its ability to photosynthesize when exposed to high temperatures and solar radiation. Just as the crown of thorns is associated with suffering and death, followed by resurrection, the plant produces ample fruit and green foliage despite adversity. Researchers believe that unlocking its secrets could one day lead to the breeding of similar species to help sustain the future of mankind. That concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host Josh Reinstein and we're here on a beautiful day in Jerusalem on a rooftop studio. My guest today is Chen Ben Lulu. He's the International Director of the Sumerian Regional Council. Chen, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Josh. Thanks.
Chen, tell first of all our viewers a little about what is the Samaria Regional Council?
All right, so the whole area of Judea and Samaria is divided to regional councils and local councils. Samaria is one of the regional councils, one of the biggest ones. It's actually 12% of the state of Israel and a very significant part of Judea and Samaria.
Yeah, they say that Samaria is where the settlements are, but really it's the heartland of Israel. Why do you think there's been this whole delegitimization campaign internationally against you?
Right, well, definitely, Josh. Samaria is where the Bible land is. It's where everything happened, where the Israelites entered Israel, where Joseph's tomb is, where Joshua's altar and Joshua's tomb is. And obviously that is our basic, that's our place, that's our roots, that's where our roots are. And whoever tries to delegitimize Israel would try to hit us in the core, and this is our core.
Recently, the governor of Samaria, Yossi Dagan, got into it with AIPAC when AIPAC came out and still, after all this time, is demanding a Palestinian state. Why do you think the American lobby is doing something that doesn't really fit the interests of the Israeli people?
Well, first of all, we have to say that there is no place in any Israeli official document or in the guidelines of this government that talks about a two-state solution. I'll tell you moreover, today's America's administration, Trump's administration, is not talking about that. So obviously, what we were talking about last month when the AIPAC convention was on, is the fact that if AIPAC is supposed to represent the government of Israel, well, they cannot talk about a two-state solution because it's not, in fact, it's not our point, it's not our view, it's not Israel's official view.
We see a dichotomy in the American political system now. It's AIPAC's assertion that Democrats and Republicans traditionally have always supported Israel on a bipartisan basis. Yet we're seeing kind of a divergence there. How do you see the difference between the Republican and the Democratic platform?
I think that the biggest problem is that we have a lot of people in Congress and Senate that are really misinformed of what's going on the ground. That is one of the things that we, as the Samaria Regional Council, are trying to do. We're trying to bring as many people to come and see what's going on the ground. And when we go to Congress, we bring the facts to DC, and the real facts of what's happening on the ground. And I think that if more people would be willing to come and see with their own eyes, they'll know, but from both parties, by the way, they'll know for a fact what's going on.
You know, they've been talking about a two-state solution for decades here in Israel, and right now it seems impossible. You know, you have a state in Gaza, you got another one in Judea, you got one in Samaria, you got the Israeli state. It's looking like there's Jordan. There's like a five-state solution right now if you want to be realistic, yet they still push this narrative of two-state solution. Whose interest is this in the best of? Like, why is this something that would be positive for Israel?
Well, I, for one, and we do not believe that it would be positive for Israel. We just don't understand why the paradigm is either a two-state solution or a one-state solution. Obviously, there are a lot of solutions in the middle, and these are things that need to be talked about. It should be in an open dialogue and not, not set from up front. And I think that is a very important thing that the Trump administration today is trying to do.
Judea and Samaria got a huge boost in the last Republican convention when they passed the new Republican platform on Israel, saying that calling Judea and Samaria occupied territories is anti-Semitism. You can't occupy your homeland. How do you think AIPAC's position moves up against the Republican Party's position on these issues?
Well, I think that AIPAC has always tried to be in the middle and try to represent a diversity of opinions. But I think that someplace along the way, they became too involved with the establishment. They do not. They're entitled for their own opinion. But if they want to show their own opinion, they don't have to say that their opinion represents the state of Israel, because that's just not true, as we know.
The progressive movement is gaining steam within the Democratic Party. It is a very anti-Israel movement when it comes to Judea and Samaria. I don't think anyone can deny that. How big of a threat is the progressive movement to life in Judea and Samaria for the Jewish establishment?
Well, I don't think that there is a real threat today to the settlements or to the communities or for in Judea and Samaria. Jews around the world are entitled to different opinions, as long as they're based on fact. I'm not sure that all those who talk about these unrealistic solutions are really up to date of the facts on the ground. And by the way, anyone from any movement is invited to come to Samaria and meet with us and meet with the people and see the situation on the ground. I'm sure that 1 or 2 visits like this will turn them around completely.
President Trump is about to release his peace plan, what he believes would bring peace in the Middle East. How concerned are you that that will be something that the communities of Judea and Samaria cannot agree to?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Josh. First of all, we just have to wait and see. Right? Well, we trust President Trump, and we believe in the president. And I'll tell you another thing. It's not only about the program that this administration will bring forward. It's about the Palestinians, if they would even come to sit around the table, if they're willing to talk. Truth be told, a lot of plans were made, and a lot of agreements were almost signed, including a lot of very far out ideas that we certainly wouldn't agree with. But Palestinians have never missed an opportunity to miss an opportunity. So we just have, first of all, to wait and see what the Trump administration will bring us, and then we'll follow accordingly. We'll see our response.
Chen, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
So I represent Samaria, which is a very big part of Judea and Samaria. This is where the Bible stories have taken place. This is where our basic history has taken place. This is our roots. This is our homeland. That's where everything started. And I would like to invite all of you to come and visit and come and see with your own eyes what is going on the ground. I think you'll be amazed to see the communities, to see the history, to see the views, and to understand the land. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chen, for being on the show, and thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
Up next, the return to Zion with Karen Hayesod.
Shalom and welcome to the Return to Zion with Karen Hayesod. I'm Eliezer Moody Sandberg, World Chairman of Keren HaYesod United Israel Appeal, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. Today, you will witness the fulfillment of biblical prophecy through the gathering of the exiles. God bless you from Jerusalem.
Me and my family always prayed to come to Israel because it's a home, it's our home. 10 months ago, I made Aliyah with my sister. We are living together in Haifa. I'm worrying about my family because the situation in Ukraine now really terrible.
The past decade and a half has witnessed a frightening upsurge of worldwide anti-Semitism, unparalleled since the 1930s. Across Europe, incitement, desecration of Jewish institutions, attacks on Jewish property, and acts of terror, including murder, are striking fear into Jewish communities. From London to Berlin, Brussels to Copenhagen, Jews are being harassed, assaulted, and murdered. The situation is particularly intolerable in France and in Ukraine. In France, violent crimes against Jews have become commonplace.
Avec la multiplication des actes antisémites en France, donc déjà j'ai peur pour moi, mais j'ai aussi peur pour ma famille, pour ma femme, pour mes enfants plus tard.
In eastern Ukraine, over 1 million people have been displaced. In the escalating chaos and lawlessness, Jews have once again become scapegoats, with many anti-Semitic incidents reported.
When I was in school, my classmates told me that, oh, you're Jewish, it's not normal in Ukraine, why you are Jewish? It was very hard for me to speak with them, to describe every time what I do in Ukraine and why I'm Jewish.
I will give to you and your descendants after you the land of your sojourning, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession. But Israel has always been the homeland of the Jewish people. Throughout their 2,000-year exile, the Jews prayed daily to return to the land of Israel. In 1917, Great Britain issued the Balfour Declaration. In 1920, Keren HaYesod was established to raise funds for this purpose. Since the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, Keren HaYesod has helped bring 3.5 million olim to Israel from the four corners of the earth.
This is Bible prophecy come into fulfillment. It's not just my heart, but I can feel the heart of Abba Father. Abba Father in heaven is so pleased to see his children who are scattered all around the globe is coming back home.
From India to Africa to Europe, record-breaking numbers of Jews are eager to come home. Aliyah rose dramatically in the past year, hitting a 10-year high despite the security threats that face Israel. Keren HaYesod operates in 45 countries throughout the world. The Keren HaYesod law, passed by the Knesset in January 1956, grants the organization a unique fundraising status. In close coordination with the government and the Jewish Agency for Israel, and in partnership with the global Jewish community and Friends of Israel, Keren HaYesod promotes Aliyah and other national priorities. We need you, dear friends, to be our partners in this noble mission of helping the people of Israel return home before the window of opportunity slams shut and live safely in its secured homeland. Keren HaYesod, with your generous assistance, has redoubled its efforts to facilitate every Jew who wishes to fulfill the biblical prophecy. Friends of Israel, the Holy Land and its people needs you now. He will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the four quarters of the earth.
Come join Keren HaYesod in fulfilling biblical prophecy. Let's bless Israel together.
To donate and get information, call us at 1-800-505-1665 or visit our website at www.khisrael.org.
Jerusalem, Israel's eternal and undivided capital, has been the capital not only of the State of Israel for the last 70 years, but of the Jewish people for the last 3,000 years, ever since King David established his independent kingdom here. Jerusalem's status as the eternal capital of the Jewish people is essential for Christians as well. Our story is your story. Our story begins with the exodus from Egypt, the wandering in the desert and the creation of the Jewish kingdom here, the Davidic kingdom and the Davidic line, which is crucial, all of it, for Christian belief. The fact that Jesus of Nazareth was born in Bethlehem, an integral part of Judea, and who taught in the temple of Jerusalem is an essential component of Christian faith. And so our story is your story. Unfortunately, that story is under assault today by many elements in the world, above all by the Palestinian Authority, by Hamas, by Islamic radical terrorists, and even by segments of the UN. UNESCO, which in theory is dedicated to history and preserving legacies around the world, has several times denied the historic connection between the Jewish people and Jerusalem. Denying the connection between the Jewish people and Jerusalem is to deny the Christian connection with Jerusalem. If there was no Jewish connection here, if there were no first temple, if there were no second temple, then where did Jesus preach? On what steps did he instruct his disciples? Only in Jewish Jerusalem. And therefore, Jews and Christians must bind together. Must bind together in order to refute the lies, to uphold the legacy which is written in our holiest of books, which is mentioned 683 times. Jerusalem, the eternal, the shining, the capital of the Jewish people forever, and also the center of faith for Christians and Jews throughout the world.
Lift up your eyes and look around. All your children gather and come to you. The biblical prophecy is unfolding right before our very eyes. The people of Israel are returning to the Promised Land after 2,000 years of exile. But millions of Jews are still longing to come home. Anti-Semitism threatens many of the Jews. We must rescue them before the window of opportunity slams shut. Bless Israel by supporting Keren HaYesod United Israel Appeal, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. Together, we can fulfill the prophecy of the Bible.
Let us bless Israel together.
To donate and get information, call us at 1-800-505-1665 or visit our website at www.khisrael.org.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El Rome.
And I'm Erin Viner, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.